Hey, what's up guys, it's Fish here and welcome back to another Ancient Empires online battle. Today we are playing against Havoc in this awesome forest battle. I am playing as Dacia and he is playing as the Arvenni, so a nice Germanic tribe against the Gallic tribes. Hopefully it will turn out to be a really good replay and hopefully you guys enjoy. If you did, make sure to drop a like and a comment down below. And let's get started by looking over the army comps. If you want to skip this, there should be a timestamp in the description right at the top. You can just click that and it should bring you to when the battle starts, and hopefully, you know, if you don't really care about the army comps, that will help you stick around a little bit. So on my front line, as I am playing Dacia, I have 4 units of these archers. They're not really very great. They're okay for putting down some suppressive fire, but they're basically like just peasant archers at the end of the day, and they won't really hold up in melee combat whatsoever, but they're here just to kind of act as some form of a skirmisher force for me. Then if we look back, I have my main line of these Dacian spear walls. They're somewhat heavily armoured. They have a really long range spear weapons. So when they form a spear wall, they're going to be very, very brutal. And it's going to be hard for Havoc to push on this defensive line. Then behind that, I have 6 or 7 units of these Dacian swordsmen. Again, not a super elite unit, however, it's very standardized and they are okay in melee combat. They can definitely hold their own and give the enemy, you know, a little bit of a hiding. I also love their flak swords as well. That looks really cool. Then behind there, I have some more of my more elite infantry. I have my Dacian swordsmen. Are these Dacian swordsmen? Oh yeah, these are the same, I think, even though they look very different. Maybe they are the same. Yeah, they probably are the same. I just have more. Let's slow it down as well so we don't miss any action. Then behind that I have a bunch of these Dacian flakmen. They do really good when they're up against heavily armoured units. So I'm hoping I can get these guys up against, you know, Havoc's more elite Gallic warriors. Then behind that, finally, I have my most elite Dacian nobles. These guys are really, really good, and you know they are my key to victory. On my right flank, I have 3 units of these Mercian Samaritans, Cataphracts, sorry for butchering that. These guys are a really good shot cavalry, and they also have an archery ability as well, where they can just pepper the enemy with a bow and arrow. So a really good skirmisher cav. I have my general back here again. He's a Dacian chieftain. Look at his swords. Look at that sword. That flak just looks amazing. Really, really elite unit. Let's actually just get a nice little close up there and just watch him walk past like he doesn't give a fuck. He is ready for battle. Really ready for battle. Then finally, on my left flank, I have 3 units of my melee cavalry over here, these Dacian heavy horses. Then if we look at Havoc's army really quickly, he has 3 units of the Celtic noble horses of the early period, so a pretty sturdy melee infantry cav. Then he has 2 units of war dogs on his right flank, and then finally, or not finally, but then he has a bunch of these Celtic noble warband late period, so again a really strong heavy infantry. Behind that, some more Celtic noble warband. Seems to be making up all of his flank. More Celtic warband. Then back here he has 2 units of these Celtic hunters, some of the Celtic noble of the early period. He also has some Celtic naked fanatics back here. And as we move over, he has more of these Celtic spear walls, so very similar to my Dacian spear walls. And that's going to make up his center. More of these naked fanatics, which are a really strong infantry unit. Like the Arvenni are a really strong unit. And as well as that, he has access to Vercingetorix as well, which is again a really strong general. Then as we move over, we can see that Havoc has some Celtic noble horse back here of the late period, so these guys are a lot better. And 2 more units of war dogs, which absolutely chew through infantry. And I think that's pretty much the majority of his army, and we might have missed a few, but by the looks of it, I've kind of seen everything. So I'm going to be pushing up my cavalry over here to try and get some nice little skirmisher shots on his line. And little do I know that Havoc has this entire ambush waiting in the wings and these war dogs, which as you guys will see, I do charge them, but I get absolutely slaughtered by these war dogs. I was so surprised how much damage they did. And next time, I think we'll either ban war dogs or we'll, you know, just set a limit on them, because they've ripped through this unit of cavalry like they were nothing, which was really brutal. Even as I'm trying to escape, the war dogs are just chasing me down, taking away. And this is so good for Havoc because he has, you know, he has a lot of cavalry, but these guys are super expensive. So the fact that he's managing to chase down these guys and pretty much wiping out an entire unit of my Scythian cavalry, just like that, I mean, not Scythian, Samaritan cavalry, sorry. The fact that they're getting rid of that just as easily, you know, by unleashing the dogs of war is really good, and that's going to help him just, you know, take care of my cavalry threat this battle. The rest of my army is marching towards the top of this hill. I'm moving up my entire Dacian spear line and my archers as well. I want to try and claim this hill as quickly as possible, or at least get on level footing with Havoc, because I don't want him to hold the hill. So my entire army is currently marching up on top of this hill. We don't want to run because, as you guys know, the fatigue in this mod is just crazy. If you're tired, you're losing engagement hands down. So you have to ensure that your men are fresh and ready to fight. See, the war dogs as well are still chasing me over here. Luckily, I think this unit is routed by now. Yeah, luckily this unit is routed, so the war dogs are off and not chasing these guys anymore. But this frees up my entire right flank for Havoc just to, you know, pressure with all of his cavalry right around here. And the fact that this is melee cavalry, like, if I would have got a 1v1 or, you know, a 3v3 with our cavalry forces, my cavalry would 100% have come out on top just because of the damage they would inflict on the charge, because they are shot cavalry. So that was a really good, you know, play by Havoc, hiding his war dogs in there and just to rip me apart. The infantry lines in the forest are starting to face up. Luckily, I have a lot of my spear walls. Like, look at that spear wall right now. That looks really, really good. You know, it's going to be very hard to break through that. Just a line of spears. Going to be extremely brutal. Some of these guys have formed shield wall now as well, or spear wall, I believe it is. He's going to be using his javelins though to just, you know, just volley into my men. Luckily, the shields are high, and that is protecting me, giving me a lot of armor coverage. Over on this right flank, you can see that he has his naked fanatics pushing up over here. A lot of my javelins are coming and hitting, and they are also doing a decent job against the naked fanatics, my spear wall. However, it's going to be hard for them to kind of really claim victory here, because the fanatics are a sword infantry unit, whereas my guys are stuck with a lot of spears. Oh no, this is actually my Dacian sword unit. So these fanatics are probably going to come out on top, just because this is, you know, the first Dacian sword infantry unit. So I don't think it's going to be doing too well against the Albeni naked fanatics. But, you know, as long as they hold for a little while, that's all I can ask of them. As long as they just, you know, keep this flank secure whilst the other flanks engage. So finally we have a spear engagement, you know, forming over here. The two spear walls have clashed into each other, and they're going to be, it's going to be a very slow fight. You can see how many spears are just in the air right now, because I imagine it's going to be so difficult to really use that as well as possible. Over here on the left flank, I have engaged my melee cavalry, which was again a pretty big mistake by me. Havoc has his entire army here, as well as war dogs to support his line, and, you know, my cavalry is just, you know, by itself and just getting cut down. Havoc's using his superior cavalry force to his advantage, and again, that was another really big mistake by me. You know, I should have just left my army here, because at the moment I really have a decent position up on the hill. You know, I have a really good position up on the hill. So if I didn't lose my cavalry, that could have helped me, you know, clean out this battle quicker, or even claim victory, depending on if I won or lost this battle. Because at the moment, I have the hill advantage. I have the numbers advantage, which I don't think I even mentioned. I started off this battle with 7,000 men, whereas Havoc started off with 5,000. So, you know, it's a pretty large battle right now. We have 13,000 soldiers fighting for your entertainment, and the melee is fully underway in the woods. This looks so cool, as my Dacian swords are fighting against the Arbeni right now, trying their best to push them back. And the Arbeni are doing their best to push me down the hill, taking that hill advantage and kind of turning it against me. But I believe my Dacians are strong. We've got some purple warriors right here. Someone did say that, you know, back in the Dacian era, you know, purple was regarded, obviously, by Byzantians as a very royal colour. However, I'm not sure if that's a bug or if that's meant to be. I remember Petelius telling me, the main mod creator, that was a bug at some point. But, you know, it could not be a bug, and, you know, purple is very royal, so maybe he's just, you know, a very royal warrior. Over here on the right flank now, the naked fanatics are slowly getting cut down. I've had to deploy a large portion of my men. If we zoom out, you can I still have loads of men in reserve ready to be pushed up. But Havoc is causing, you know, me a nightmare with his superior cavalry force. Losing my cataphracts to the war dogs, it was just so brutal, and you can see Havoc's just taking full use of this, pushing his cavalry around the flanks, taking these opportunities to hit me in the rear wherever best I can. And I'm trying my best to withdraw some of my spearmen. You can see I'm bringing back spearmen, I'm taking my archers back to hopefully try and take pot shots at the cavalry to reduce their numbers. You can see right here, my archers are actually shooting the wrong way right now. I should be using them to take care of the archers. The spear wall is still fierce, and I imagine this is going to be wearing on for a little while yet. These units are very sturdy. So really, all I have to do to win this battle is hold the front line as best I can and just ensure that I don't get outflanked. That's literally the only thing I need to make sure I do. I have this random unit of spearmen just out of position right there. Again, you know, playing 40 versus 40 units in the woods is really difficult because it's so hard to see. Not like in Warhammer where you press space and you can kind of get rid of all the foliage and the woodland. It's really hard to kind of command 7,000 men like this. So, you know, on top of that, it is really brutal. So I'm bringing over as many spearmen and stuff over to this left flank because I see Havoc pushing hard. He has a ton of elite units. These noble warband are really good. I'm pushing my flakmen against them because the flakmen are good at, you know, armor piercing. But I'm just not sure if, you know, they're going to be enough because, as I said, Havoc has a ton of these really elite units. And unfortunately, the Dacians at the moment only have, I believe, like 4 or 5 of their best units they can recruit. Like, they have a limit of like 4 or 5 of the units, which is really cool. And I was also, you know, talking to Petelius recently, and he was talking about the population system, how they're going to be there's going to be like a class population system. You know, so the most elite troops will come from an elite pool of population, so you can't just spam out a ton of Sacred Band or Legionary First Cohort, etc., which is really, really interesting and just makes me so excited for this campaign. It's going to be amazing, and I'm going to play the living hell out of it. As we push forward, you can see my flakmen fighting, going toe-to-toe with the spearmen. Probably not the best matchup for them, as the spearmen can use their long range to kind of pick at the flakmen and their lack of armor. It's much better to have these flakmen up against, say, some, you know, heavily armored swordsmen, which would be, you know, or Falksmen. What the hell? I called them Faxmen. Falksmen, I apologise. Before you write your comment correcting me, Falksmen. I don't know why I was thinking they were called that. So I apologise for that. The battle in the woods is still raging on, as we can see. The spearmen, you know, this spearman unit is holding their line as the Naked Fanatics push on. Luckily, I've managed to kind of somewhat quell the Naked Fanatics over on this flank with my swordsmen. This is actually my general unit right now, so we get to see him. You can see my general right here fighting in his golden armor against the Naked Fanatics. I believe we're in shield wall right now, which is kind of good for me because it means that we can kind of pick away at the stragglers and, you know, cut down this formation as my general is currently fighting. They have also whipped out their javelins now, which we don't want to be doing. We want to be holding the line right now and pushing on and just dealing with these Naked Fanatics. Yeah, I do also have some reinforcements. I've got some of my Dacian noblemen coming in the left flank. They're going to be helping me just surround this Naked Fanatic unit and cut them to pieces. Because again, they don't have a lot of armor. So if I can just surround them, they're going to die so quickly. Which is exactly what I am trying to do. Throwing in more and more infantry. Because as I've been mentioning, Havoc has the cavalry advantage and he's using it to his advantage, you know, hitting my lines and then running away. So I'm having to use a lot of these units just to screen off his cavalry, which is obviously going to be hurting my front line, which again you can see is fully underway. Like, look how amazing that looks right there. If we can get underneath the trees, that looks really cool. Just a full-on engagement, just watching down the lines as the spearmen fight. The swordsmen are going toe-to-toe. The spears are just reaching across the battle line. And oh my god, let's just go down this battle line. Slow-mo. That looks absolutely amazing. A pretty brutal battle as well. Considering I lost my cavalry early on, my infantry are doing a really good job at holding the line at the moment. Just causing Havoc a ton of issues on his front line. Again, his strength lays in these flanks. He has an entire another group of his army just reaching, and these guys are completely fresh. They're running to the battle now, but these guys haven't been fighting for the past 10 minutes like the rest of my units. So because of that, you know, he's going to have a huge kind of a huge advantage in fatigue. Has some more of my Falksmen move back. I can't believe I called them Faxmen. I'm such an idiot. Falksmen. You know, you can see these Falksmen doing a really good job at, you know, picking away at these more elite units. They've actually done really good over in the selected area, getting around the flank as well, pushing in at the rear of Havoc's more noble warband infantry units. He's going to push them back The right flank, if we look, this is my stronghold right now. The right flank has gone amazingly well for me. I've managed to push back his entire right flank, and I'm also, you know, causing huge amounts of issues with the rest of his infantry. His other Gallic spear wall is holding, and again, that looks so beautiful with all the shields up like so. Up against my Falksman on the front and my Dacian swordsman. That looks really cool. But I'm going to push back, try and get rid of these archers, you know, get them the hell out of there. And then I'm going to turn my army and try and push into the back of these infantry, which are currently being engaged by my center of Dacian spear walls. So we're going to do that. We're going to kind of move up a little bit and then charge in. But at this exact moment, Havoc is doing the exact same with his cavalry and his left flank. He has so many men still over here. Look at all these naked fanatics just pushing on my line. It's making it extremely difficult, and look at all this cavalry he has left as well. It's just forcing me to, instead of having these men on the front line, it's forcing me just to kind of stick these soldiers around here to stop him from charging into my rear and winning the battle. So even though this right flank is going really well for me, the left flank is not. Some of my Falksmen have now got into the rear of the spear wall. Again, not the most ideal situation for them. As I mentioned, the long spears are just really good at dealing with the Falksmen, who have such a short range weapon. You know, their shield pretty much protects them from a lot of this damage, and then they just have their other spears. The rest of the men in the shield wall peeking out and just taking care of them. My own spear wall, my Dacian warriors are fighting, but again, the Dacian warriors aren't really a match for the decent, you know, pike formation. And he is just overwhelming me on this left flank. You can see my entire left flank has now routed, and he is just wrapping round with his naked fanatics, with the support of his cavalry, which keep on pouring in, hitting my soldiers, and then pushing out of the battle. It's not looking good for me at this point. I can only just try and plug this gap, try and smash this right flank as quickly as I can, and then try and address this left flank. My center is now broken though, and there you have it. It's going to be a decisive defeat for me. Havoc did an amazing job taking up my cavalry early with his war dogs, who were just demolished cavalry. There's like no kind of counterplay to it, I guess, apart from just avoiding them and, you know, using them in the woods for a really nice ambush tactic was absolutely beautiful. If we look at my my lines now, you can see that my basic infantry really didn't do too great, getting 20 kills, 40 kills, 22 kills. So nothing too special there. Again, my spear wall, I'm pretty proud of my spear wall. This is a really cheap unit, and considering it was up against a lot of these, you know, Celtic noble warbands and, you know, the late period and the early, I was pretty impressed with how well they did. My Dacian infantry kind of let me down, and so did the majority of my Dacian nobles. But I think because it was such a messy battle, I really didn't use these guys as optimally as I could. I mean, look at this one unit getting 249 kills, and it was still full health, which was a real shame that it routed. The fact that Havoc could just, you know, envelop me completely just meant that I had nowhere to go, and it was really, really brutal towards the end. So I feel like I could have won that battle if I didn't throw away my cavalry at the beginning like I did, on both flanks actually, which was just a huge mistake. But massive GG to Havoc. He did really, really well there, just completely demolishing my flanks and then just enveloping me. Considering he had less numbers as well, that was pretty impressive. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this. If you want to see more Ancient Empires, make sure to drop a like and a comment down below, and I'll see you guys next time, and fish.